In the last podcast, we talked about fish and fish oils and how important they are for mental health. But what about other oils? Do they matter? Are they important? Welcome to the Overcome Depression podcast. The tools you learn here can make depression a part of your past, allow healing regardless of your present circumstances, and offer hope for your future. I am your host, Jennifer Stirling-Campbell. This is going to be a hard one for a lot of people because it may require you to throw a lot of things away, or at least never buy them again. I rarely buy anything with seed or vegetable oil. I can't talk. I rarely buy anything with seed or vegetable oils in them anymore, including safflower, sunflower oil, corn, vegetable, canola, peanut, grapeseed, rice bran, and other seed oils. These oils are high in omega-6 and are highly refined to the point that they're practically a plastic. Now, that's just my opinion, kind of. There are articles that you can read that sustain this claim, but really, it does not belong in our bodies. And I've actually noticed that whenever I do eat something with one of these oils in it, that I have a tendency to break out on my face. I've struggled with adult breakouts my entire adult life, and one of the things that tends to trigger it is stress. The other thing is these oils. In fact, this week I was running out the door and my kids insist, my teenagers specifically, insist on having chips for their lunches. So I try to buy chips without too much of the bad stuff in it, but I have a few. I've been trying to do better, but I still have a few that have some of these lesser oils in them. And the one that I had open for them was not the best. I think it had safflower oil in it. So I was in a hurry and I was really hungry, so I grabbed it and I ate some. And the next day I had this massive cyst under my eyebrow that's still there. I was trying to get rid of it yesterday with heat and some French green clay. Minimally helped, but I mean, it was pretty much a correlation with me. If I eat those oils, either eating out or something that was in my home that probably didn't need to be in my home, I have issues. So I've also had issues, ironically, with olive oil. Now, not the extra virgin cold pressed olive oil that is really, really good for you, but the olive oil that you might find in some of the plastic containers in the store that really isn't that great. It's so highly refined. People think they're doing themselves good by eating olive oil or using olive oil, but it has to be a quality olive oil. If it doesn't have that pungency when you taste it, where it kind of almost burns, it's probably crap. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. It's probably really not good oil. The thing with oil is you want to buy it in preferably glass bottles, especially olive oil. I actually get mine in a bag that has a spout on it so that no oxygen gets in. The problem with oxygen is that it breaks down the oil over time. So if you have an old bottle of oil, that's also not good. If you keep the oil by your stove or a window that's pretty hot, not so good. You want to keep your oil in a cool, dark place. And it needs to be cold pressed. Organic is great. I don't usually buy organic oils just because it's one of the things on my list that is already expensive, but that would be obviously ideal. But definitely glass bottle, virgin, cold pressed, and has that pungency. Again, if you eat it and it doesn't, or you try it and it doesn't taste like anything, there's a problem with that. Most olive oils taste like something. Now, it makes the food that you put it in, if you're using olive oil for baking, which I don't do, it's not going to make the bread taste very good if you're going for banana bread, but use butter instead. You don't use olive oil for everything. I also use coconut oil a lot. People sometimes say that the saturated fat in coconut oil is not good for you. I highly disagree. It's a good saturated fat along with butter. I get organic butter, usually from Costco in bulk, and ghee. Ghee's a really good option too for those who are dairy intolerant. Margarine is of the devil. I would never eat margarine. Please stay away from it. I'm going to read you something from The Secret Life of Plants about margarine. It's on page 247 in The Secret Life of Plants, and it says, as white flour was being introduced into England, so was margarine. the invention of another Frenchman as a cheap substitute for butter, devoid of vitamins A and D. The general health of the country deteriorated. Men from the northern England and southern Scotland, large and powerful during the Napoleonic Wars, became short and frail, and unfit for military service by the time of the Boer War. A commission set up to investigate the phenomenon concluded it was caused by men moving to the cities, where they lived not on wholesome country bread, but on white bread, white sugar, and margarine. In 1919, when the U.S. Public Health Service announced a definite connection between over-refined flour and the disease of beriberi and pellagra, a vitamin deficiency disease of which over 100,000 cases were reported in Mississippi alone, the millers went into action not to change the flour, but to get the Public Health Service to shut up. It's just one of those things. And that's kind of talking about the flour, but also the margarine as well. It's really not good for you. And that article's talking a lot about the flour and the sugar as well, but additionally, margarine is really not a good idea. And if there's anything in your brain that has been programmed to think that fat will make you fat, this is a fallacy. It is not true. Yes, fat has calories, but the more fat I eat, quality fats that I eat, the less hungry I am, and the more, I'm a very healthy weight. I eat a lot of good fats. Avocado, I actually do use avocado oil. I'm not sure how good of an oil that is, honestly. I want to say it's a better oil, especially for cooking. It's good for higher heat. I wouldn't use olive oil on high heat, low heat maybe. It's best raw, but coconut oil, avocado oil are good for cooking because they have a high flash point and a high smoke point. After oil starts to smoke, it begins to become carcinogenic, so you want to avoid that as well. From the same book, it talks about chemicals and DDT at the time that was getting into the seed oils. DDT and other pesticides also go straight to the seed oil of corn or cotton. There's no way to remove them, and they are cancer-causing. Though DDT has largely been banned, its successors, dieldrin, aldrin, and heptachlor, are equally insidious. And this book was written in the 70s. I'm honestly not sure what chemicals they use now, but I think, long story short, chemicals aren't really that great for us. They really shouldn't be in our bodies. So most refined oils are highly unnutritious. They don't even resemble what the original oil had in it. And one of the ways that they refine oils is using hexane. I'm going to read this article from AndersonInternational.com, I guess. I'll leave the link in the description, about the hexane extraction process. It says, after soybeans or other seed oils are cleaned, cracked, cooked, and dried, the flaked seed material is bathed in hexane as a solvent plant. Proper pre-treatment helps rupture the oil-bearing cells and increases the surface area of the seed, allowing the solvent to thoroughly penetrate the material to extract more fat. During extraction, hexane flows through a bed of flaked soybean or soybean cullets, swiftly dissolving the oil from the solid seed material. The hexane extraction process creates two byproducts, a mixture of oil and hexane called miscela, which contains about 25 to 35% fat, and the leftover solids, which are saturated in hexane in concentrations of 25 to 30%. Both byproducts undergo further heating and processing to recover as much hexane as possible. The de-oiled cake goes into a desolvenizer toaster that heats the meal enough to evaporate the hexane without deteriorating other nutrients. The miscela, meanwhile, is distilled with steam heat to vaporize the hexane, which is then recaptured and condensed for reuse, while the oil is further refined, bleached, and deodorized, which takes away the flavor and makes it clear in a lot of cases. While most hexane is recovered from the end products, the solvent extraction process results in average hexane losses between 1.5 to 2 liters per ton of seed processed. These losses typically occur as trace amounts in the crude oil and meal or escape through vents, hot water, or other leakage. And hexane is chemically extremely close to gasoline which we definitely don't want to be eating. The other thing that is done to refined oils is hydrogenation. We hear that a lot. Now, why is hydrogenation so bad? Well, because when all of the hydrogen spots, I can't remember, we learned about this in chemistry, it's been a while, but all of them are filled up so that nothing can bind to it or change it. Hydrogenation, according again to the Hidden Life of Plants book, hydrogenation consists in using heated nickel catalyst to force hydrogen into the gaps between the carbon atoms of linoleic acid, which is omega-6. This prevents the resulting fatty oil from going rancid, but it also destroys essential fatty acids. These are not absorbable by the body, and they have to go somewhere in the body, and they end up lining the blood vessels and causing heart disease. So these oils really are very much like a plastic. They don't process, they store. And that's alarming, or that needs to be alarming to any of us who are consuming these products. I do occasionally when that's all I have available. I did the other day. Limiting it is key. If you are brave and willing, I would encourage you to go through all of the products in your house that you buy and check the back. Does it have oils in it that aren't extra virgin coconut, olive, or butter or ghee, possibly avocado? I don't really eat any other oils or consume any other oils other than those. And if there's sunflower, safflower, any of the other oils that I listed on the package of the things that you're buying, which are most processed foods because they're cheaper, a old oil or a third press, fourth press oil, highly refined oil, they last longer on the shelf. It makes sense for businesses to do this. I'm not condemning them, but I'm encouraging you not to eat them. So after you've figured out which products that you own that have these oils in them, I would encourage you to never buy them again. And I mean never buy them again. Find alternatives or make them yourself. Cooking things yourself, you can find easy meals to cook that aren't that hard. Crock pots are awesome. Instant pots are awesome. They can make our life incredibly easier. Or you can spend the extra money and buy high quality processed foods, which is better than the ones that you probably possibly own already. As well as throw away the oils that you own in your home that are not the oils that I described, including the olive oil on your shelf in the plastic bottle that's probably really old and doesn't taste like real olive oil. There's that option, just throw it away, or if you really can't afford that option, use them up and just don't buy them again. Start buying better options. And people argue that, oh, but it's too expensive, I can't afford this kind of food. But can we really afford, or are we willing to give up our health because we are not willing to sacrifice maybe something over here, maybe turn off the cable and buy better food? Our health bills will probably go down. I know some people don't have high medical bills because either the government pays for them or they have really good insurance and so forth. But I buy very inexpensive insurance. It's catastrophic. And I put any money that I would have put into high insurance premiums into the supplements and the food that I buy. A lot of the money that I spend, a big part of my budget goes into supplements and vitamins and food, quality food, because I want to feel good. I don't want to be on this planet feeling like a zombie or sick all the time or in the doctor's office. It matters to me, and I hope that it matters to you because I want you to feel better. Long story short, if it's about the money, but you have the desire to eat better, I know you'll be able to find a way to do it. I was able to do it on the basest of incomes. Very, very humble beginnings when I started this. I was dirt poor on welfare. So I think you can figure it out too. I'm going to read a few bullet points from an article called Eat Fat to Protect Your Brain and Boost Its Function, written by Dustin Lutchme. He says that omega-6 or linoleic acid is the most common fat in the American diet. Most people get an average of 25 times more than they need. At most, you need about 2 grams a day, but the average American gets about 50 grams a day, thanks to the fact that most processed foods and condiments are loaded with these omega seed oils, as well as most of the places that we eat out at. it's, even if they say, oh, we use olive oil, we use a certain oil, it's probably highly refined. It's probably, and no offense to them, it's just, again, how they have to run their business to stay in business, but we don't have to eat there. Omega-6s, or linoleic acid, gets incorporated into our cell membranes where it causes inflammation. Its half-life is nearly 2 years, so ridding our bodies of the stored linoleic acid can take up to 7 years to rid it completely. Vitamin E can help with protecting against inflammatory and endocrine effects of the omega-6 or linoleic and PUFAs in general. So if you have a good vitamin E supplement, can't hurt to take that. To safely encourage the elimination of linoleic acid from your body, focus on building muscle and maximizing lean muscle mass with exercise. And eat a balanced diet. Don't go into crazy mode and try to fast your way out of it or do crazy amounts of exercise. It's probably not the best thing for this particular issue. The most important take home here is that these omega-6 fatty acids are not digested, they are stored. Most saturated dietary fat is burned up, used up, but a lot of obese individuals have a lot of these PUFAs, these omega-6s, linoleic acid compounds. This is not from saturated fat, it's from processed, refined fats. So keep that in mind. Again, fat is not bad for you. We need fat for our brains. And I want to read a little bit more about that. So our brains are actually about 60% fat. So you can imagine what happens to your brain if you're not eating it. You need fat for your brain to function. In fact, they used to say saturated fat was bad for you, and new studies are showing that saturated fat actually helps a lot with cognitive function. Your nervous system, neurons, need fat. The myelin sheath requires fat for the neurons to fire properly. Without fat to support cell membranes, your brain cannot function properly. And the brain not function properly is kind of at the crux of anxiety and depression. The brain's just not functioning the way it needs to in a healthy manner so that you can move forward. So that's what we're trying to fix here. Some fats are also neuroprotective. This means they protect the brain by reducing brain inflammation, regulating cell survival and death, and helping with the generation of new brain cells. With that said, I will be leaving a plethora of amazing links for you in the description with recommended oils, links to vegetables and fruits that have a high level of omega-3s in them, studies that support what I am saying, and vegetarian options for oil. If you want to build a new life free of depression, you are going to have to build yourself a new body as well, and a new mind and a new brain. This might sound like a lot, but we're going to get you there slowly and surely. Fish and omega-3 oils are pivotal to your success. You have to figure out how to make this happen for you. If you want to look at this amazing graphic I just did, the wise man built his health upon the rock. Isn't that cute? I love it. So if you want to struggle in life, you eat a standard American diet and live the standard American lifestyle. You have low minimum standards, a stay safe mindset, like you don't want to change, it's too hard. And this results in dependency on others, dependency on the government, dependency, you're not free. On the other hand, building your house upon a rock means living by natural laws. And I think these are the same as God's laws. If you're a believer in God and Christ like I am, building your rock upon the Savior. If you're not quite there, and it really just breaks down to living natural laws, universal laws. Having high minimum standards, having a growth mindset, which often means getting outside of your comfort zone, and this results in freedom and independence. Really quickly, I want to explain what I mean by low minimum standards or high minimum standards. For example, I have students, they play trumpet. Sometimes they struggle to practice. And I'll ask them, what are you willing to establish as your lowest minimum standard? Meaning, if you practice only this much a week, it has to be at least that much. So what is it going to be? Is it going to be 5 minutes a day, once a week for I mean, once a week for 10 minutes is better than none. Like, but we've got to establish a minimum standard that you do this no matter what. And then slowly over time, we'll try to bring that minimum standard to a higher standard, where maybe their lowest minimum standard is a 15 minutes a day, but their best, their typical day that they want to strive for is an hour a day maybe. A high minimum standard would be bringing that low minimum standard that you have, which is either zero effort or a little bit of effort, to a little more effort, a little more time. For me, for example, I'll give you another example. I take my teeth very seriously. I want to die with all of my teeth intact. My grandmother did this. I want to be just like her when I grow old. And so my minimum standard for my teeth is that I brush them twice a day. I can probably count on one hand, possibly two, but probably one, the times in my entire life that I have missed brushing my teeth. It's just not something I do. It's not something I accept. So that's my minimum standard. My better standard is that I do the sulca brush. I do water pick. I brush my tongue. I do oil pulling in the morning and I floss. And then I brush as well. So that's more of like my general routine. But if I am just so tired and I can't even manage thinking about doing all of that, I'm going to brush my teeth no matter what. Now, a lower standard might be, well, I at least brush them 3 times a week. So raising that standard might be, no, I brush twice a day, every day. That's just I've risen that standard. That is my minimum standard. So I hope that makes sense. So the idea in this program is to slowly and surely bring up your lowest minimum standard to a higher minimum standard, and that is who you are, and that's how you live your life, and keep you in that realm. And I appreciate you always being here. Thank you so much. If you feel so inclined, please leave me a positive review or subscribe to this channel. I can't thank you enough. It does make a difference and helps other people find this channel and this podcast. So again, my name, as usual, is Jennifer Stirling-Campbell, and you're listening to the Overcome Depression podcast. If you are new to this podcast, please go watch all of the hashtag introduction videos first, and then consider downloading the Overcome Depression workbook. Links in the description. The content in this podcast is based on my own personal beliefs, is for informational purposes only, and is not intended to substitute for medical advice, diagnoses, or treatment. Please refer to the full legal disclaimer in the description.